Hi everybody, this is Abigail with PinkStoneThreads, and I just wanted to come back to give another update on my knitting and crochet for the beginning of the year 2023 and kind of wrap up all of 2022, which was quite a year. Forgive me if my voice is a little froggy. I'm coming off of COVID, pretty rough case of it. Not that rough, but just it's not been an easy week here, so so I may have to cut out some coughing here and there, but I figured what a better time to cheer myself up and talk about my knitting a little bit. So I haven't given an update in quite a while. I was actually working on my wedding dress most of last year, and I am going to be coming out with a video and some more information and pictures with that. We're just still waiting on pictures from our photographer from our wedding. So that's been very exciting, but it's definitely taken up a lot of my time, and especially my knitting time. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Having only worked on basically one project for about 7 months straight and just all white. So definitely, as our wedding was in November, so the end of November, December, and January, I've definitely been really needing some colorful knits, using up yarn, and trying a bunch of different things. So you'll definitely see that in this update. So the first thing I'll start with, I'm going to start with my finished objects, is this sweater slash t-shirt, crop top kind of. So this is the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. Obviously, I decided to do short sleeves, so I just stopped at a length that I was comfortable with. And I also just stopped at a sweater length that I was comfortable with. I haven't blocked this yet, so it probably will drop down a little bit and become a slightly more flowy than it currently is, but I am obsessed with this. I'm actually going to put it on here in a second, but I did want to explain kind of what I did. So the Tin Can Light, the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits is a pretty relatively basic sweater pattern. I've actually done it once before. This is only my second actual knit sweater, and the one I did before was also the Flax Light. So shows you it's a very good, intuitive, nice pattern that I wanted to repeat again and felt comfortable with. So I'll go ahead and go through the yarns here. I've got, for the color, Plucky Knitter Yarnier Birthday. Make sure it shows up. It's like a nice teal blue with these pops of highlighter yellow and hot pink. And that's from the Yarnier box from last year. And then this pink and purple is called State Fair Sunset by Pax Fibers, who I actually is a friend of mine. So really love that color, and I'm glad that I was able to add it into the sweater. And you might hear some crunching. One of our cats is eating. And then for this section, I actually striped this pink, the State Fair Sunset, with an unknown yarn. So I'll try to find the colorway name and pop it below. One like multicolor, very variated yarn. So it's got pink, blue, green, yellow, just a lot of nice colors in there. And so mixed with that pink, it's kind of like candy-like. Get a closer view up here. And I know that the yarn is by Knitted Wit, but I can't remember the actual colorway name. So I'll try to figure that out and put that in the description box. And then we have this third section, which is actually this Knitted Wit yarn that's striped in with the pink. It's striped with a plain minty teal. And I just striped that every other row because there's actually a lot of that mint teal kind of color striped in with the knitted wit yarn, and it ended up being this super fun patterning where you can't, it looks like it's all one yarn really. I mean, you do have those micro striping of the other colors, but because of the two colors, the accent color of that mint that was in the knitted wit yarn, and then using that as a solid color mixed in, I did 1 row, I did 2 rows of the plain color in between. It actually shows up like like it's one yarn, but it's not. And I'm in love with how these colors kind of married and merged together. And it created a really consistent patterning throughout, which I really appreciate. It's hard to do that with a variated yarn. And then lastly, we have the same pink State Fair Sunset by Pax Fibers. But this regular color, I think I forgot to say, is just the plain color mixed with the knitted wit, is Mint Sonoma by Ba Yarn. And so I did a lot of fun colors on this one, and I'll go ahead and put it on here. Okay. So I'll kind of stand up. So it is at a cropped length, right kind of where my the waist of my pants is. It is going to drop down more and become more flowy once I actually block it, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's really cute. Some nice fun colors. I feel like I don't really have a lot of fun clothing in my wardrobe, so I wanted to add that. And I wanted to use up these, well, not use up, but use these 4 yarns that had been sitting in stash for a while. And I think the way that I ended up using the yarns is very non-traditional and very fun. And yeah, I'm just really happy with it. I think, you know, having the colors kind of merge together, it's really cool. And the sleeves, yeah. So I'm really happy with that. And well, the real reason I might have done this is that I've been starting some Scrappy projects. And so this is kind of a Scrappy project, but not really, since, you know, I used all 4 of these yarns for this for the first time. But I was really trying to produce scraps to use in my other projects. So I wanted to get these out of stash so I could use up the scraps, which is kind of silly, but I am really excited that I did that. So I spent most of my holiday break from work working on this, which was exciting. But that leads me to some of my other finished objects, more scrappy, colorful stuff. So these are actually scrappy. These are just scrappy socks. I just use a vanilla sock pattern, and then I did, I believe, got cat hair all in there. These have been worn a few times. So you can see some of these colors are the same as in this sweater, and then some I've used in other projects, and then some I bought specifically for these because I needed some colors to kind of tide me over. So you can see that State Fair Sunset right here matches really well. Well, it is the same State Fair Sunset, and then we have the Plucky Knitter Yarny Birthday colorway, and then this knitted wit. The name of this is gonna bug me because I've used it in a lot of projects. It really came with a lot of yarn in that, and I actually used a knitted wit yarn for my first sweater, which I don't even know if I've ever shown on the podcast, but I will have to show that at some point. And I really liked the way those colors worked up in the first sweater, so I used that in my second sweater as well, which is kind of cool. And then this one is the January Yarnable box colorway. It's Party Like It's 2023, I believe. And then I'll have to look at my notes for these other colorways. Yes. So this first one is Oi with the Poodles Already from Fangirl Fibers. That's a Gilmore Girls colorway from last year. And the same for this 1000 Yellow Daisies, Fangirl Fibers, Gilmore Girls Club colorway. And then this plain mint color, oh my gosh, almost hit myself. is actually the one that I striped with this one to create this section. So you can really see, I'll hold these up close, how these colors are pretty similar. They have like similar base colors in them. And so they just really complemented each other really well. And then the toe is, it doesn't have a colorway name, but it's from Made For You by Laura. So that's the toe. And I bought the toe color specifically for these socks and for my other Scrappy projects. So I made this pair of socks for me, but I made a second pair, slightly different pair, for my husband. So I'll put one on the sock blocker. Again, these have been worn, so they're a little stretched out, and his are much larger than mine. So they actually have more stripes. But you'll notice it's the exact same up until here. On mine, I split this stripe in two, and this sock blocker is a little bit big for my sock. But I split the stripe, so I did 10 before and 10 after the heel, whereas I only did it after on his. I can't exactly remember why I did that. He just has a larger like actual foot than mine, so maybe I was worried about running out of yarn. So everything else is the same but I did switch the ordering up there, and then the two stripes at the bottom are actually different. So slightly different yarns. So these are still Made For You by Laura. Don't have colorway names, but thought they were really pretty, so I bought those also specifically for these socks. So he's got a pair, I've got a pair. They're similar but different, and they're very fun, very scrappy, and definitely a joy to work on these projects where you get to change color often. I definitely missed that when I was working on my white dress for endless months. And then I actually have another pair of finished socks. These ones are still my usual go-to vanilla sock numbers, but I actually did cabling for the first time. And that's just a 2/2 cable with a 2x2 rib, or I guess it's 4x2 technically. I think so. That makes sense, right? I didn't follow a pattern for these. I actually learned cabling for the first time in my wedding dress, and I got really interested in it there, so I wanted to just try introducing some simpler cables, because that was cables in a lace patterning. So I just wanted to go ahead and try plain old cables, and so I did these socks. The yarn is a kettle dye by Knit Picks and Knit Picks palette. I forget the colorway names, but this is kind of like a cranberry purple. There's cat hair all over it. And then this is just whatever their kettle dyed yellow was. So I'm very excited about these and the cables on them. I think it actually makes a really nice like stretchy gift sock, because it'll cinch down if someone has a smaller foot, but it is very stretchy if someone has a larger foot. So I think definitely having, what is the word? What is this called? I've been having that so much recently. Whatever it is, having that stretchiness of a rib, that's the word, rib, is very nice for a sock, especially a gift sock, because it will kind of fit more sizes of foot that way. So these are going to be gift socks. I'm making gift socks for some of the people from my wedding who like really surprised me and went above and beyond with their gifts, and so I just wanted to make them some socks as a thank you. Not saying that everyone didn't blow me away, but some people really shocked me, so I wanted them to get a special gift as well. And I'll be talking about that a little bit more later, because I'm actually going to do 2 more pairs of socks, and I think I'm going to do a shawl as well, as one of like a thank you gift. Thank you gift. I don't know. Thanks for the gift. Yeah. I don't know how to say that exactly, but there's so many people that I want to make socks for, and these are also just people in my life who I haven't made things for previously, so I wanted to go ahead and do that. So another pair of finished socks. So 3 pairs of finished socks, a sweater. This is basically everything I've made for the most part since my wedding. There's a few things I didn't bring down just because most of them don't have the ends woven in or need some final touches, but oh well. And now I have probably the cutest thing I've ever made. I have this tiny little baby sock. It is not a baby sock, it is actually just a small sock, a tiny small sock. Why would I make this, you may ask? So this is made out of scraps, and I've just got a 2 stripe repeat of 3 colors, which I love these colors together. You can see the jogging of the stripes on the back, which I didn't try to do helical knitting or anything because these are actually going to be hanging. So my idea is to do make tiny socks out of yarn scraps, and then once I have my yarn store, I can hang them all up as a, I'm forgetting words again, things that hang up together, garland, there it is, as a little sock garland on the wall. Or maybe I could have all sorts of like tiny clothing, like maybe tiny hats, tiny sweaters, all sorts of tiny knit things. And it's a really fun way to use up scraps as well. And it just makes me happy to make tiny stuff. It's too skinny to fit a baby, but it does kind of look like a baby sock, or just a very small human sock. So yeah, that was just a really fun make, another little scrappy make, and that only took me probably like an hour, if that. So that was very fun to make. Okay, another thing I did last year that was kind of secret, kind of like my wedding dress, and the reason I didn't come out with too many details is because I already felt a lot of pressure to do it and do it well. So I kind of kept it secret and didn't want everyone freaking out thinking that I was going to show up in something terrible. So I just kind of kept it secret, but this is another semi-secretive thing. Let me find, there it is. Okay. So these 2 socks, one was made by me and one was not. Can you guess who made what? So my friend Matthew, from high school, college, middle school, we've known each other for quite a long time, asked me to recreate some stockings that his grandmother had made for some additional members of his family. So this pattern was originally by Bernat. It's called the Santa Claus stocking. I got mine from Ruthless Knitting in the vintage Santa stocking pattern is what it's called. I just found that on Ravelry. And this is actually her original stocking, or one of them, that she made, and she has since passed on. So I thought it was really sweet that Matthew wanted to do that for his family members. And so they have a colorwork name at the top. Hers is knitted flat, and then she picks up a sort of around, I believe around the heel, and starts knitting it in the round, which is kind of a cool construction. It's got these bells on it. It's got this colorwork Santa, which I didn't have this one before, so I might do a repair on this one. He's been giving me these as reference, and I've been kind of repairing them as well. So I'll have to do a repair on this one as well. And then it's got these colorwork candy canes. And it's actually interesting as a stocking, and it is knit like a regular sock. So I thought that was pretty cool. So my recreation is very similar but slightly different, and I did make a couple of mistakes. So I made 2 of these for his 2 brother-in-laws. So very similar, same pattern and everything. But there's one difference, one main difference, and if you can point it out already, that'll make me feel terrible. So the main difference is that I accidentally made my Santa Claus facing the other way. It's correct on this side because it's supposed to be facing the toe, but this one is also facing this way, and I made 2 of them with the same mistake. It's not really a mistake because, you know, it's still nice. It's still the same idea. I just messed up the color work because one thing I actually did, and I can't, yeah, it's on this one. Instead of working it flat up until the heel, I wanted to work it in the round the whole way because I thought that would make the color work easier. Turns out I was wrong. So when I was doing my color work, moving from top down, I had some difficulty with getting all of my colors oriented, and so that is why the Santa Claus is facing the other way. But I've come up with this cute excuse of a story, is that when these are hanging up on the fireplace, I'm having a rough time coming up with words. They can be facing the person that brought them into the family. So that it's kind of like the 2 Santas are kissing. That's my excuse story, and I'm sticking to it. But yes, so I made 2 of these for the 2 brothers-in-laws, and I added a cool little Christmas lining in there with some ribbon, and it's just a Christmas pattern. I actually found it kind of difficult to line this, just because, I mean, hopefully they didn't have any trouble sticking their hand all the way down, like I'm not having any difficulty, but it was hard to line it, have it be like a stretchy lining without it adding too much bulk to the stocking. So I did have to make it, I mean, kind of tight. Like I can't get it up over my elbow, but hopefully, you know, at this point in their lives, they're not ripping through their stockings as fully grown men. So hopefully that's not an issue for them. But yes, so I made 2 of these, and I actually have 2 more that I'm going to make for my friend Matthew's 2 new, I think a niece and a nephew. So a little baby niece and nephew from this year. So I was originally planning on doing all 4, but the babies weren't born until like mid-November, and with my wedding and the holiday season, I didn't think that I could get them done because I wanted to wait until their names were finalized before I started on them. So, but yes, so I'm going to be doing 2 more, and I think I want to do those sooner than later so that I can kind of just, I've really enjoyed doing these, but kind of free up some mental space for future projects and future craziness that I'm planning on getting myself into, which details forthcoming for that. So that brings me to my works in progress, and I'm working on another pair of socks. Here's a sock blocker. Put it on a sock blocker real quick. So another pair of gift thank you socks. These ones are 2x2 rib, and I kind of tried to do something different on these, where I did like a little color pop at the top. That's what Kayla from, or Kay, she goes by Kay, from Crazy Sock Lady calls it, the pop of color. And then I did 2x2 rib, but then I switched it at the end of the cuff so we could get more of a definition for the cuff. So I switched it so it alternates. And then I also did something different with the heel. I just did a knit heel. I didn't do any special patterning or anything on it, which I've never done that before. I don't know if I'll do this again. It just doesn't seem like sturdy as my other heels, my usual heels, which are, they have like this slip stitch pattern. I don't know what that's called. If you know what that's called, please pop the name below because I'm not sure what to call it. But yes, and then it has a nice big yellow toe. So I'm making this pair. I'm about halfway through the foot on that second sock, and I hope I'll have enough yarn. I think I will, but I've used this in the Scrappy socks, and I've done it already in my Scrappy stripy blanket, which is what I'm pulling up next. So this is my granny stripe blanket. I didn't follow any particular pattern, but I got inspiration from people who have done this project using the pattern by Lucy from Attic 24. I just made mine up completely. It's just a granny stripe. I don't know how many stitches, but making it up, you know, I'll do anything to try to not look at a pattern. And I think along the sides that, you know, may have worked out, may have not. So I might have to do, it's just the one side that's, well, I guess it's both sides that are kind of uneven. I don't know if that's because of my tension changing. I'll try to get you the best shot of that possible. My tension changing. The yarns are all supposed to be fingering weight, but there's some differentiation between yarn brands and what different dyers use as their base. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's kind of, it's not too bad. I mean, I think I could block that out pretty easily. But yes, so as you can see, I've accomplished quite a lot. I think I started this in November-ish, potentially. Hard to remember last year already, but I've actually made a ton of progress. I got a 2023 stitch marker from my first Yarnable box, the January 2023 Yarnable box. So I'm keeping my progress of this year versus 2022. So everything from the stitch marker down, I've done this year, 2023, and everything before was all 2022. So I feel like I made a good amount of progress already on it this year, and I've really loved working on this project. So it's this wide doubled because I have it folded over. So it'll be a relatively large blanket. It's kind of like the width of my arms. So yes, I am super excited about that. I love all the colors and all the yarn dyers. And I did buy some minis just to add to this and to those socks because I wanted to work on it so badly. So been having a lot of fun with that. And then I started, because I was having so much fun with that, I started a second Scrappy blanket. And this one was originally going to be more of like a trash blanket, if that makes sense, of using like the absolute scraps of the scraps. But then I started doing that, and then it ended up pretty, and then now I like it. So it's not as much of a trash blanket as I was initially anticipating, but this is what I've got so far. And again, this is folded in half on itself. It is a more narrow blanket, But I think what I'm going to end up doing at some point is once I reach a nice length that I like for this, I'm actually going to start doing stripes along up the side to make it much wider. And those will be really long stripes. But yeah, so this is just single crochet. I'm not sure how many stitches I started with. I think I just did it until it like covered my lap nicely. But yeah, so what I've been doing for scraps is first I will try to use them in another project, kind of like these socks, or kind of if I wanted to do another sweater, maybe I would do that as well. So first use them in a primary project, then a scrappy project, and then I put them in the granny stripe blanket. And then whatever I have left of that, I will crochet until it's done onto this blanket. And I've just been crocheting right over my ends. So it's been a really easy project and like no stress. So I really love the single crochet because it really cinches in those ends well. So even, I'm trying to find stripes that I only have a little bit of. And I do need to trim some of these in some places, but you may see like one slight blue stripe between the, I don't know why, but I feel like it's more apparent on this side. Between the yellow and white, there's just one blue stripe. I didn't even have enough of that yarn to make it all the way across the blanket, but I still added it in, and it was no big deal because all of the ends were just crocheted on top of. So I'm excited about that. It's a little crazier of a blanket, but I think in the end it's going to be really pretty and very usable. I already love the way that it feels. It's lightweight, but it's just nice and cozy. So I'm excited about that one as well. So I've definitely enjoyed working on my scrappy projects the most. And I think it's also because they're crochet and I haven't really been doing a lot of crochet projects other than that. So I've been excited about that. And then I'll go ahead and show you one of my favorite Christmas presents ever. Lammies in Jammies and Goats in Coats, a 2023 day planner. Let me just show you some of these pictures, if I might. My husband we found it together at Cracker Barrel when we were visiting a friend in Alabama. And we found this and I fell in love. So let me just show you some highlights. There's one of these on every page set. And I just had to get it. There was no other option. I needed it in my life. It's just provides so much joy. All right, I'll show one more before I show you what I'm really using this for. But so I'm using this exclusively for my knitting and crochet and creative stuff and my knitting business. So I kind of get more fun, separation, and joy out of doing those things and planning those things, because I do enjoy planning, but I feel like when it was not separated from my everyday tasks and my regular life stuff, it felt less fun because it felt like more of a chore when it was in my regular planner. So I'm testing this and I think this is gonna work for me, more or less. I haven't been keeping up with the daily stuff as much, but because this was actually a 16-month planner that started September 2022 and I only got this on Christmas, I decided to start using the initial September and monthly pages as more of a knitting journal. So I'm keeping notes on different projects. I think every project will be like a weekly spread or something. I'm putting all the yarns used down. I'm still looking at the adorable goat pictures, and then I'm actually also adding Polaroid pictures. This is the only one I've added so far, but it's of those Scrappy socks. And then I think using the rest of it just kind of as like a journaling space. So it's been a really good way of keeping track of all of the yarns for all of these different things. I need to add a lot more of the actual pictures in, but it is a little chaotic having the like days of the week and then dates underneath all of that. So in the future pages, I might like put stickers over that, or like, I don't know, put a post-it or put something on top of the sheet. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that, and it's been helping me keep track of the yarns in my projects. And then I've been writing goals down for every month. I think I'm going to start keeping track of more of what I actually have done rather than what I want to do, so I'm not kind of like setting myself up for failure. But yes, this is going to be very fun this year, and I love looking at the pictures. I need to remember to like take a minute and actually look at the picture because I get so much joy out of looking at it. It's just you don't always take the time to enjoy things, so that's very fun. And then from there, I'll just talk briefly about future knitting, and yeah, then I'll get to weaving in more ends. So I recently went to my local yarn store. What's a local yarn? Local yarn store. To get minis for all these Scrappy projects, and of course I wanted everything that I saw. So I ended up getting this. So this is Malabrigo Finito Kettle Dyed. The colorway, I'm not sure what the colorway is. It says there's no dye lot. So Arco Iris maybe? I don't know. But I thought this was very pretty and very kind of witchy. So it's just 50 grams. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 50 grams. So I think we'll have enough to do one pair of socks for me. I have tiny feet and I can make them shorties. And that'll be the perfect amount for that. And then I got the latest Fangirl Fibers Gilmore Girls yarn, and I know it's gonna kind of be shiny, but hopefully you can see that. So this one is called Jumbo Coffee Morning Season 1 Episode 2. It's the January 2023 Gilmore Girls Yarn Club by Fangirl Fibers. And it's got some just really cool deep colors in there. And I believe it's DK weight. Or this was actually worsted weight. So I was thinking of making a small shawl with this, and maybe just doing either stockinette with an I-cord bind off, or like an I-cord border, or maybe I will just do a triangular garter stitch shawl. I'm not sure. We'll see, but I want to make this for our officiant. I was thinking that would be a really cool thank you gift for her. So that's some future knitting. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. If you can think of all the words that I couldn't think of, please let me know. Have a good day. Thank you.